Hello and welcome to the Miles Irvin Show. I'm your host, Miles, and man, oh man, if you are a basketball fan, you got treated to some excellent basketball last night. 13 games on last night, and there is so much to break down here on the Miles Irvin Show. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. There's so much that happened. Um, Incredible offensive battles, some defensive battles, crazy comebacks, star power, incredible night of basketball in the NBA to start the month of November. Before I get into the games, leave a like on the video if you enjoy NBA content. Subscribe to the Miles Irvin Show YouTube channel for the recap videos Tuesday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. This one is going to be probably a longer one because there is just so much to unpack. So let's just get started. Um, let's start off with the game that just finished, and it was the Battle of LA in the game of the season so far, a weekend. We had the Lakers finally snapping their I believe it was 11 game losing streak against the Clippers by getting the overtime victory 130 to 125 in a game where we had so much star power, and not just so much star power that played excellent basketball, as you see there on the graphic there. You've got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and LeBron James all with 35 points in this game, and they all each had their own incredible moments in this game. For Kawhi Leonard, it was the first quarter. The Clippers dominated to start the game, and Kawhi came out, and after scoring 8 points in the previous game against Orlando on Tuesday night, he comes out and scores 13 in the first 5 minutes. He's absolutely on fire. The Clippers were absolutely on fire. They could not miss. The Lakers looked very sloppy. But then in the second quarter is when the Lakers started to get back into the game. But in the third quarter, to start off again, Russell Westbrook was actually getting some easy layups around the rim. He had a pretty solid game as well. He had 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists in his first game on the Lakers court. With the Clippers there. He got booed from the Laker fans there, which is crazy there. But something that was very evident in the late stages of the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter was the fatigue factor for the Clippers. We know that the Clippers are a team that historically does not play their guys in back-to-backs like Kawhi Leonard, and you saw a lot of the shots were going short. There were times where they were turning the ball over, not getting great looks offensively because this is a team that, besides Russell Westbrook, they don't really have much playmaking. And of course, James Harden is now on that team. He's aiming to make his Clipper debut this coming Monday against the New York Knicks. But until then, I'm pretty sure they don't play until that game. So they're set to rest until then. But in this game tonight, when it was in the fourth quarter down the stretch for them, they didn't really have guys to facilitate and get great shots. And on the other side of the coin, LeBron was going off. He was hitting all sorts of jump shots from all over the court, mid-range and three-point range, especially in that fourth quarter to extend that lead. D'Angelo Russell had a terrific game once again. Second straight really solid performance from Russell with 27.6 assists. I thought that Cam Reddish, who did start the game because of some late scratches for the Lakers, I thought even though he didn't shoot the ball that well, I thought he had a pretty solid game. Um, but we got to get into the last minute of the game. The Lakers are winning this game. They look like they're about to pull it out. They have extended the lead after trailing by, 18 points in the first quarter. And, it's a 4-point game. I want to make sure I get the correct play here. Yeah, it's a 9-point game with 2 minutes remaining. So you think that, okay, the game's over. The Lakers are just going to pull this one out. And Russell Westbrook gets a wide open look for three. He knocked it down from the corner off Kawhi Leonard was double teamed. Westbrook came right to the ball. Kawhi just did a quick DHO and Westbrook nailed a three from the corner, which was big. Westbrook 3 for 6 from downtown. Big time for the Clippers there. But then in the final minute, Paul George took over the game. Well, in the fourth quarter, he took over the game. He scored 20 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter, and he scored 8 in the last minute of the game. He had an and one. He had an and one layup. He had a crazy, just casual pull up three. And then with 18 seconds to go, Clippers are down three. Paul George just caught the ball and shot a three, pretty, basically in isolation, but it was like a catch for 1 second. Cam Reddish was right on him. He shot a three, and Reddish fouled him. Definitely got his forearm in there. Lakers tried to challenge. It was an unsuccessful challenge because that was definitely a foul. Paul George came up clutch, nailed all 3 free throws. And then at the other end, it was LeBron and Anthony Davis with their pick and roll, which had been huge, in this game to start the season and in their whole tenure, with the Lakers. But now you got Kawhi and PJ Tucker guarding that action. PJ Tucker making his Clipper debut, and LeBron was in isolation with PJ Tucker, and Kawhi and PJ both shadowed toward LeBron, making him pass the ball. And D'Angelo Russell got a pretty clean look to win the game at the buzzer, but he just missed it to go to overtime. And to start overtime, Kawhi made a nice off-screen mid-range jump shot, which was great. Then the very next play offensively, LeBron is driving the ball, and Paul George did a very dumb reach-in foul, and he fouled out of the game after having that 20-point fourth quarter. And immediately then I'm just like, oh man, the Clippers, they came right back, and now they're probably going to blow it because now Paul George is out of the game because Kawhi Leonard looked very fatigued at this point. All of his shots were coming up short. Austin Reeves hit a couple of nice shots here, and he got a steal. We had a terrific vintage alley-oop dunk from LeBron James. That was crazy. But then Kawhi again started to he started to take over once again. He had a crazy and one finish in overtime, and then he made a step back three to make it a 1-point game immediately. And then unfortunately after that, Westbrook tried to make a play on the ball, and he got called for a foul, and it was only their foul to give, luckily. But then Austin Reeves, hit a tough pull-up jump shot. Anyways, Lakers had a 3-point lead with 45 seconds remaining. It was Clipper ball, and the Clippers got 2 pretty decent looks at a three. Russell Westbrook missed an open shot, and then they got an offensive rebound, and Bones Highland, who played a lot of minutes, he played 34 minutes and only scored 4 points in this one for the Clippers, getting that start. With James Harden still, with the trade still pending and all that. But they had a couple good looks to tie the game once again. They missed it. So then the Lakers, they just needed to get one more bucket to win it and seal the deal because the Clippers were out of timeouts at this point. And, LeBron drove it, kicked it out. Cam Reddish missed a wide open corner three, but Christian Wood was right there for the putback dunk, and that just sealed the game. But what an incredible game. This is definitely the game of the season so far with these two teams in LA. Just really battling it out and all the star power. You had 3 20-point performances on each side with Westbrook, George, and Leonard for the Clippers, Russell, Davis, and James for the Lakers. Just a fantastic game. For both of those teams. They're both now 3-2 on this young season, and both off to pretty decent starts, but both also with some tough losses in there as well. Good mix, pretty evenly matched teams so far. We'll see how the Clippers look, of course, when James Harden makes his debut. Now let's move on to another game in California that had an incredible finish, and that was a playoff rematch from last season where the Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors were going at it in San Francisco for the second time this season. Only this one did not feature De'Aaron Fox as he got injured over this past weekend, so he did not play in this one against the Warriors. But despite all of that and the Kings, struggles defensively at times, they nearly won this game because of their incredible, tough, gritty defense against the Warriors. They nearly won a game on the road where they shot 41% from the field and without De'Aaron Fox. And they did it with mainly, their offensive rebounding. That was huge for Sacramento. I believe, let's see, what were the numbers here? Yeah, the Kings doubled them up on the offensive glass 14-7. That was huge for Sacramento. They got so many second chance points. They got a lot of free throws off that as well. And they forced a lot of Golden State turnovers as well. The Warriors having 17 turnovers in this game. But all that the Warriors were just hanging around all game. Even when the Kings had a double-digit lead in the third quarter, the Warriors just kept making a push. Big reason for that, Dario Saric had a terrific game off the bench for the Warriors. But in the final 30 seconds there, the Kings had the lead, but then they just gave up one play. Steph Curry just got a easy finish, drive to the basket and got a layup at the other end for the Kings on their offensive possession. In this fourth quarter, there was a very steady diet of pick and roll with Sabonis as the roller, whether it was Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, Davion Mitchell as the ball handler. They were looking for Sabonis, and Sabonis had a terrific game, especially in the fourth quarter with some hook shots and had a bank jumper at the top of the key with 14 seconds left to give the Kings the lead. Golden State had 2 timeouts remaining. They opted to not use either of them. They just played it, and the Kings were playing some solid defense. Curry was getting locked up. Draymond Green had the ball at the top of the key, and he was looking for a guy to throw it to, and it was Klay Thompson who he threw it to, and he made a very impressive jump shot right at that foul line area against the defensive Keegan Murray from behind and Davion Mitchell on him. And that's a terrific, end to a game there for Golden State in a game that they really should not have won. I mean, in a game where you turn it over 17 times and you get doubled up on the offensive glass and you don't shoot it all that well yourselves, you really shouldn't win that game. But the Warriors win their 4th straight game to begin the season. The Kings fall to 2-2 with both of their losses at the hands of the Warriors, and this one in particularly one that's going to sting them heading later into the season. A very tough loss there, for the Sacramento Kings. But terrific performances, like I said, from Sabonis. Malik Monk was efficient off the bench as well. Harrison Barnes had 4 threes. But Golden State now they start off a road trip. Or they continue in this road trip. This was just a 1 game at home thing. They're still currently on a road trip. But nice start to the season at 4-1. A very, very good start to the season for the Golden State Warriors. Moving on here, let's go to we talked about a playoff rematch. Let's go to a play-in rematch, and that was the New Orleans Pelicans and Oklahoma City Thunder going at it. And the Thunder blowing a 22-point lead for the Pelicans to get the largest comeback victory of the season. Now, this was a game that I really did not get to watch much of. The earlier games in the day, I didn't really get to watch a lot of because, yesterday was my birthday, so I was out celebrating, at dinner and stuff. So I missed the earlier games. But I was able to catch the fourth quarter of this game. And man, oh man, CJ McCollum, Zion Williamson were huge, especially CJ with the 29 points, 11 rebounds. He was huge. Unsung hero for this game was definitely Larry Nance Jr. off the bench for the Pelicans. Had very solid defensive possessions there against the Thunder. Missed a couple key free throws in the final minute, but they pulled out the victory against the Thunder team. who this is going to be a tough loss for them. They didn't really play it well down the stretch. Um, we're taking in the final minute specifically. Josh Giddey took a, I think, ill-advised three-pointer, and Shea took a very difficult step back one to try to win the Thunder the game. And with Shea, I would just prefer. I know he can hit that shot, and he was one of the clutchest guys in the league last year. Hit so many big shots for the Thunder over his career there, but he's a mid-range killer. He is a killer in the two-point area. I think you just gotta go inside. You gotta try to get a better shot than a step back three against good defense. And this isn't a situation where like the Thunder are playing in a back to back, like, and you don't want to go to like overtime or something. Go to the basket and get a good high percentage efficient shot. They didn't do that, and the Thunder lose this game. Um, so they fall to 3-2. Pelicans go to 3-1. This is a enormous game for later in the standings, in my opinion. These are two teams that are very, very similar in the Western Conference. Coming into the season, I kept saying that the Pelicans, the Thunder, and the Timberwolves are all mid to me, and the games like head-to-head matchups against those teams are going to be huge in this. Pelicans take the first one against the Thunder, so they now have, the quick series lead there. So that's going to be huge coming up later in the season and when play-in and playoff positioning, really gets in shape. That's why these games early in the season in the second week, they matter so much for playoff positioning. Like you got the Lakers Clippers game, the Lakers played the Nuggets, the Suns have played the Warriors. That's just in the Western Conference. In the East, you had the Celtics play the Knicks, the Cavs and the Knicks have played twice. We'll get to that game later. Um, there have been tons of matchups here early in the season that are going to matter later on. So it's super important to pull out these close victories. Um, and the Pelicans did that. Very impressive. Largest comeback victory of the season so far, a 22-point victory for the Pelicans. Now, the last actually I was able to scratch what I was going to say. I was going to say the last game I was able to pay attention to. I was actually able to pay attention to these last two games pretty closely. But first let's start off with the Bulls and the Mavericks in a game that was pretty close all the way out. But in the end, the Mavericks role players hit some very clutch three-point shots in the final minute to continue their undefeated season. And the Mavericks are now 4-0 on the season. They are the only undefeated team in the Western Conference now that the Denver Nuggets lost to the Timberwolves last night. But this is a huge performance, man. This is a huge performance in a game where Luka, who has struggled for his standards, he had a bad night shooting the ball, just going 5 for 16, 1 for 8 from 3. In a season where Luka has been absolutely ridiculous. I think coming into the game, he was averaging about a 39-point triple-double, which is unbelievable. He has been a top player in the NBA to start the season, number 1 or 2. It's either him or Jokic to begin the season, in my opinion. But in a game where he struggles and a game where you do not have Kyrie Irving because he's still out with a foot sprain, still day-to-day with that injury, you get 24 points from Tim Hardaway Jr., 7 3-pointers. You get 25 points and 7 threes from Grant Williams. You get 17 points from Derrick Jones Jr. You hit 23 pointers in this game where Luka hit one of those threes. That is enormous for the Mavericks. And in that final minute, the Bulls were trying to trap, against Luka, and Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, and Grant Williams all made super, super big three-pointers to seal the deal for the Mavericks. So great victory for them. The Bulls, solid outing by Zach LaVine and especially Nick Vucevic. Vucevic with a 2020 game. But in the clutch for this Bulls team, they just look like they really don't know what to do in clutch situations. And that's going to be key for them heading on later in the season. Now, this is a very, very mid team, and so far they are 2-3 on the season. We'll see how long it goes if they decide to blow it up midway through the season. or decide to go all the way through. But they got to figure out, how they want to close games because that's going to be super important for the Chicago Bulls there. But excellent start to the season for the Mavericks. I don't know how many people had them starting 4-0 on the season, one of two undefeated teams to start the season. Now, the other undefeated team absolutely obliterated the Indiana Pacers, and that was the Boston Celtics, winning a game 155 to 104. Yes, the Boston Celtics scored 155 points in an NBA game. I that is just crazy. Like I'm looking at it now on the graphic and I can't even believe that that actually happened. I didn't get to watch this one super closely either. I know Tyrese Halliburton didn't play in this game, but oh my goodness gracious. The Celtics shot 57% from the field. They hit 23s, 20 for 35 from 3. They only missed one free throw and this was really a excellent team performance as well. Jaylen Brown only had 16. I mean, Tatum was the one that really went off. He scored 30 points in just 27 minutes, but he was the only guy that scored over 20 points for the Celtics. You had 13 for Porzingis, 15 for Holiday, 18 for White. Off the bench, 17 for Hauser, 15 for Pritchard. Then, late in garbage time minutes, you had Delano Banton scoring 11. So that's 8 guys that scored in double figures for this Boston Celtics team. So far, they have looked like the best team in the NBA. I haven't talked about them too much to begin the season because besides the Knicks game, they really haven't played, too many great games with like that much competition to where I've really been looking forward to watch this team, but you need to beat the teams that are, right in front of you and to beat a Pacers team by 51 points that has a lot of great offensive pieces. Now, obviously, Tyrese Halliburton being out is huge for the Pacers, but they absolutely clamped up the Pacers, and this was just not even a contest. I mean, you look at this, I'm looking at their quarter by quarter scoring, and in the first and fourth quarters, the Celtics combined for 90 points. This is that is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, 155 points. I'm pretty sure I saw that that was the second most ever. Um, like in the play-by-play era, excuse me. So, great win for the Celtics, of course, a big blowout victory, and they are off to an incredible start to the season. We'll see how they fare once they start to play against better competition. I'm looking to see what their next game is. They go to Brooklyn on Saturday. They go to Brooklyn on Saturday, and then they play the Timberwolves in Minnesota on Monday. So it looks like they have a little road trip there. So we'll see how the Celtics play once they get to, face some, real competition instead of like, the Pacers who are injured. Um, the Washington Wizards, stuff like that. We'll see how they perform once they play against, super high level competition. But right now, they're just looking absolutely incredible, and they are looking like the best team in the NBA because they are dominating on both ends of the floor. So I had to give them some love for the way they've come out to start the season. A final game that I'm really gonna dive into here is the Cavs and the Knicks. Their second game of their home and home series, and this one was ugly. Oh my goodness. There were still lots of injuries. This time for both sides. Darius Garland and Jared Allen were both still out for Cleveland. RJ Barrett was a scratch for the Knicks, so he was out in this one. But the Cavs were able to grind it out, a 95 to 89 victory, and the score was really only even that high because of just endless fouls and free throws in the final minute of the game from both sides. This was I thought that this game, like that neither team was going to reach the 80s and neither team was going to reach the 90s. I mean, in the first quarter, I mean, Donovan Mitchell scored the first 13 points for Cleveland, but then in the second half, he went absolutely ice cold and no one else really showed up for the ride. I mean, I got to give props to Evan Mobley. He played a very decent bounce back game. Karis LeVert was huge off the bench with his 19 points. But then you look on the Knicks side, I mean, their guys just really struggled offensively. Jalen Brunson had a rough game shooting the ball. A guy that's really been bad to start the year has been Julius Randle. He has been like really, really bad offensively shooting the ball. And in this game, he had like 7, 8 plays where he just gave up effort wise. He didn't show any effort defensively. And I'm sure Tom Thibodeau is not going to like that one bit. But, again, it's hard to really gauge. Of course, the Cavs, it's great for them to get, a win in New York after, the playoffs last year and the blowout loss the previous game. Could be a good confidence builder for them to get a game in Madison Square Garden. But this game was just so ugly. And, you look at the shooting, the Knicks shot 35% from the field, 17% from three. And yes, they definitely, the Cavs definitely defended very, very well, but the Knicks also missed some pretty makeable shots as well. So, you know, super ugly game. The Cavs or Donovan Mitchell did end up scoring, some key buckets late in the fourth quarter to pull out the victory. Um, so the Cavs were able to just, grind it out and get the victory in the end against the Knicks. Um, so, we'll see how the Cavs keep on playing. Once Garland and Allen come back, I know the Cavs, they start their in-season tournament on Friday in Indianapolis. That should be super fun. The Knicks play in Milwaukee on Friday. That'll be a heck of a matchup there. So those are really all the games that I was able to watch super closely. Some other ones that I just wanted to talk about real quickly was the Raptors stifling the Milwaukee Bucks. And, this is the second time so far this season that we've seen the Bucks throw up a bit of a dud. We saw them get blown out against the Atlanta Hawks at home, where Damian Lillard really struggled. Damian Lillard, he wasn't very aggressive in this game. I mean, he let Malik Beasley shoot more shots than him, which should never happen. That should never be allowed. The Raptors, they've been off to a very good start this season defensively, which has been extremely impressive for them. And Scotty Barnes in particular has looked very solid for the Raptors. Jakob Poeltl had a solid start to the game. Siakam and Dennis Schroeder has been terrific for Toronto to start the year as well. But the Bucks, they'll figure it out. It'll take them some time to get it figured out. But just them getting stifled 2 games already to begin the season and getting blown out, kind of tough to see because so far through 4 games, their 2 wins. It was a close one against the Sixers, and then one where they kind of let off the gas and it ended up being closer in the Miami Heat game. So, definitely some things that the Bucks need to sharpen up as we head into the season. Other quick notes was Brooklyn getting a win in Miami. Thanks to just a big fourth quarter from the Nets and big bench play from Armani Brooks and Lonnie Walker the fourth. They were huge for the Nets in this game, in a game where Cam Thomas struggled mightily from the field. But Miami now is 1-4 to start the season, and you begin to wonder if Jimmy Butler is going to ever put it into, well, he definitely will at some point in the season, don't get me wrong, but it makes you wonder how long Jimmy can really take a back seat and not be super aggressive to begin the season, because so far this year he really hasn't been that great. He hasn't looked to be that aggressive so far this season. So that's going to be something that'll be interesting to watch as we go along here with the Miami Heat, similar to the Milwaukee Bucks with their guys being aggressive. We had Minnesota handing Denver their first loss of the season. You had Houston getting their first win of the season, which means there's only one team left in the NBA that does not have a victory, and that incredibly is the Memphis Grizzlies, who are 0-5 after a total blowout, embarrassing defeat in Utah against the Jazz. The Grizzlies were down by 35 points at the end of the second quarter, and they have just been off to a very poor start. Of course, we all know about no Ja Morant, but, just them being 0-5 and getting blown out, particularly in this game, where in a setting where I thought that the Grizzlies would come out and try to make a statement here against a Jazz team that isn't looking all that great to begin the season. But no, the Grizzlies, they just gave up. They just did not show any fight in that game. But then the Jazz were also terrific. I mean, got to give a shout out to Lowry Markkinen, who has continued his terrific surge from last year. He's been great. Colin Sexton had a big game off the bench for Utah, very efficient with the 23 points in 22 minutes. He was very good. Jordan Clarkson was good as well. Um just something that's very interesting that you would never not expect the Grizzlies to be the last team to get a victory. I believe that their next game is in Portland on Friday in their first game of the in-season tournament. So we'll see if the Grizzlies can get on the board against the Blazers team, who got a very nice victory in Detroit against the Pistons. A rough loss for the Pistons. Cade Cunningham was pretty solid, missed some mid-range jump shots in the fourth quarter, but of course Jalen Duren was out for this one, so it was tough for them to really generate all the rebounding as the Blazers won the rebounding battle there. Shaden Sharp was huge in the second half of that game. Pretty sure he had just 3 points in the first half and then just erupted for 26 points in the second half. So, the Blazers get the victory in Detroit there. Let's see, what else am I missing here? I'm pretty sure the only thing I'm missing here, which I have zero opinion on, is the Hawks getting a victory against the Wizards. The only thing I saw in this game was that the Wizards were down 20 in the third quarter, and Jordan Poole threw an off the backboard alley oop to Kyle Kuzma. I'm like, dude, why are you throwing an off the backboard lob when your team is down 20? I mean, come on, dude. The Wizards are like the most unserious team in the league. It is crazy. That was just funny. But the Hawks, 3 wins in a row after losing their first two. So they're now above 500. DeJounte Murray with another terrific game to begin the season. Had a windmill dunk. That is something else I saw in that game. So, you know, just 13 games, a whole lot to cover, and a lot of fun to watch. This was definitely a ton of fun for the basketball fan to watch. So, with all of these games that happened tonight, who is our player of the night to begin November? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Who should the player of the night be? Who is it for tonight? There are certainly a lot of candidates, but today we have to go with King James, LeBron James, as he took over that game for the Lakers in the game of the season, and just had it cooking with the jump shot in the second half for mid-range from three, had that alley-oop dunk, the third, just 35 points. I mean, it is just unbelievable that this guy is doing it at this late stage of his career. And you know, he is it is incredible he's doing it at this late stage of his career. But even if he wasn't, those numbers and the numbers he's been putting up to begin the season are unbelievable, no matter if you're 38 or, 28 or, however old you are. That is an incredible stat line, and he has been terrific to begin the season. Um, a big storyline as well for the Lakers is that they have been in close games every game to begin the season. So these minute restrictions that Darvin Ham has tried to put on LeBron to play him under 30 minutes, that has not been the case at all, because besides the opening night game in Denver, they have been in close battles in every single game of the season. So the Lakers need to, well, first of all, they need to come out and get off to better starts. They can't be down by 18 in the first quarter. But they need to get off to better starts to extend leads so that the way LeBron can get some rest, because while these performances are incredible, you can't be relying on this right now. They need good play from the rest of their guys, and they've gotten that recently with D'Angelo Russell. And once their guys come back from injury, like Gabe Vincent, Torian Prince, Jared Vanderbilt, they'll be all set to go for the rest of the season. But that minute restriction thing is something to to watch for LeBron and Anthony Davis, this season. I'm pretty sure AD played like 48 minutes of this game. Crazy stuff there. Crazy stuff there. Tonight we've only got 4 games on. None of them too crazy. I am well, besides the Spurs Suns rematch after that thrilling finish on a Halloween night where the Spurs got that crazy victory. We'll see if the Suns can bounce back in that victory. There's a long video, super fun night of NBA basketball. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for NBA content. Leave comments down below with what you think about all these performances and all these teams. And who you think the player of the night should be, the winners of tonight, who had the best performances, the best finish to the game. Just it's just so much fun and so exciting to watch. I'm so happy that the NBA is back. We're only like a week and a day in, and we're already feeling like right back into the mold of basketball. It's so much fun to watch. And I'm excited to keep bringing you guys more Miles Irvin shows and NBA recaps here every single day. Thank you again so much for watching. I'm your host Miles. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.